Hello again, it's Jermaine here from Bead Spider, and I'm thrilled to be able to bring you today my Coco Crystal Lariat. It's on our website. There's 5 different colorways to choose from, and you have more than enough beads to make a really lovely long lariat, as well as at least one bracelet and a nice, simple, easy to make pair of earrings. It is a beginner's project. The nice thing about this, and this is my little homage to Coco Chanel really, I've got this beautiful crystal drop that hangs, and you have here a sliding clasp, so when you wear it you can adjust the length of this very easily by just sliding it up and down your crystal lariat, so you can wear your drop short in a necklace, or if you were going out for a special evening you could even wear it long down the middle of your back. So I can't wait to show you. It's lots of fun and lots of yummy beads, so let's get going. I've got a few things here ready to show you what you'll need to bring together before we begin. So first of all, I've got chain nose pliers, I've got a pair of cutters, but you can use scissors for this. It's an easy beginner project. And I've got here a bead stopper, which that just opens up and goes onto your thread and stops the beads falling off. It's not necessary, but it's a nice thing to have if you need to get up and leave the table at any time. The other things we need to thread onto is I've got some jewelry wire here. Some people know it as tiger tail, but it's jewelry wire, and this is 0.3. And I like this because it's more flexible wire. And to go with that, I've just got some crimp beads, and these are designed to squash these little silver beads, squash so that the lariat will be permanent. Now for the best bit, the beads. Now I've gone through and I'm going to make this blue one today, and I've chosen a selection of beads. It uses a lot of beads, and I thought I'm going to make it with really lovely beads. So the first thing is I've got my gorgeous faceted blue drop pendant, and so that's where it all begins, and I wanted to match it up with these beautiful bowls beads. Now these are a Czech glass bead. They're called bowls. They're a faceted bead, faceted glass bead, and on the ends they're fluted, and they usually have a metallic fuming on the ends. So because this has got the silver fuming, I've chosen these lovely silver lined grey seed beads to match in nicely. So we're into the greys and the blues. So then I've chosen some 3x4 donut crystals in the deeper blue. I've got some 6mm, beautiful 6mm bicones here. They're really lustrous, and these are my favorite, and I've got these to match the pendant nicely. These are what's called a crystal. It's a 4mm bead, and they're a twisted bead, so you can see the facets are twisted. It forms sort of almost like a little circular shape. So they're really lovely. So now that I've got all these yummy beads, I'm going to begin. The first thing to do is to cut yourself a length of your jewelry wire. Now I have cut 1.5 meters, or you could cut a 1.5 yards, or a little bit more. If you're a beginner, do err on more, because then you've got room for mistakes, and if you have problem, you've always got that little bit extra. I'm going to put my little stopper onto the end, and I just do that by opening up and popping the wire inside, and that will mean that any beads that I thread on the other end won't come off this end. So now from the other end, I've already threaded my beads on, and I've started with one crimp bead, then I've put on one of my yummy bowls beads, then I've done 2 seeds, and then my little thing that I do is I'm just alternating the donuts and the twists. So I've got a 3x4 donut, always a seed bead in between, a twist, a seed bead, and so on. And I've done that until I have 1, 2, 3, 4 donuts, and then finally I'm just going to add at this end here 2 more seed beads. So it's a nice, simple, easy project, this one. So I'm just going to pop on 2 seed beads. Now you can see you don't need a needle for this. You can literally just come up to the bead and give it a little flick and they pop on. So I'll bring these down. Now I'm going to, from this little section here, make this into a loop so that I have my sliding loop for my lariat. So I'll just bring these down, and I'm going to bring this tail right around and back through the bowls. So just straight back in there, and then in through the crimp bead. So you can see I've now made this loop, and then I'll just slowly pull it all up, pull it in. And I don't need a big tail, just a small tail. Slide down that crimp bead, and then I'm just going to hold that in position with my fingernails because I want that loop to be right up close to this bead. I'll come in with my pliers and hold it flat down here, and then I'll just squash it. So you can see I'm putting some pressure on. See, it's flattened it. Now I can come in and give it a good squash. 1, 2, 3 little squeezes, and then to make sure that this is now permanently fixed, I'm just going to tug it with my fingernail. You can see it's not moving, and this is now permanently attached, and now I'm ready to start threading my beads. So I can come into the other end now. I don't need the stopper just now because this is now my new stopper, and I'm going to start and begin threading beads. So it's just a matter now of threading my beads on. Now this way you can have as much fun as you like. I've come up with my little pattern, but please, feel free to do whatever you want, and that's what's the fun about this easy method of stringing, is you can just play around however you like. Now what I've chosen to do, as I said, I'm alternating donuts and the twists and with seed beads. So between every single bead I'm putting a little seed bead. It spaces them out and just defines them. Now I've got this little tail here, so I'm just going to make sure that I thread these beads over the tail so that then now you can't see it. It gives it a little bit of extra strength inside and my tail's hidden. So that's my first little section. I'm going to carry on now, and I've separated this into different sections. So my next section now is going to be a little bit longer. Where I have here with the bicone in the middle, and I've got 2 donuts either side, my next section is going to be 3 donuts. It'll have 2 twists and 3 donuts in between, so this section will become longer between my bowls. So I'll just thread that up now. Now I've threaded this all up because I thought I couldn't let you just sit and watch the paint dry while I threaded up all of these beads, and I've got my stopper on the end so that they don't come off. But I'll just explain to you what I've done. If you recall, in this first section I had just 2 little donuts, and then in the next following 3 sections I've actually got 3 donut beads and 2 twists in between. The reason I'm extending these is because the bowls beads, I only have a dozen of them. They're my sort of feature beads, and I want to make sure, because my lariat is really long, that I can space them out nicely along the lariat and they're seen. So I've actually done 3 sections where I've got 3 donuts, and then I've actually gone and done 2 sections where I've got 4 donuts and obviously 3 twists between the bicone. So that's given me a longer area, and of course these where I've done this will go behind the back of my neck. The nice thing about this, you've got lots of beads. You can play and chop and change around so that you can experiment and make it your own. It's very easy. The threading of the beads is very easy, and the pattern is up to you. Once I've done my 4s, coming back down the other side, I've gone back down to 3 of the donuts in these little sections, as you can see here, and then I've done that 4 times, again with 3 donuts, and finally I've gotten down to the end and I'm on my last bowls bead, and I've just duplicated what I did at the very beginning, which was just 2 donuts either side of the crystal, so that closer to the bottom it's a little bit more of a concentration of beads. Finally now I'm just going to thread on my last little bit, and I'm going to show you how I finish it off and we make this a slider. It's time to put my pendant on and finish off my lariat. Now the nice thing about this lariat, it's a sliding lariat and it doesn't have a clasp. So what I'm going to do now is, before I finish off this end, I'm actually going to thread my loop over the end here and put it on over here, and my loop is just enough that it goes over these larger beads, but it doesn't go easily, so it's nice. Now I'm going to make sure that I've got no gaps in my wire, if possible. Make sure that this is, see how my little tail is sticking out? Just make sure I've got beads over the tail, and I'm just sliding everything down to make sure that I've got no gaps in the wire. Here we go. Right. And I can just pop that up there. Now if you wind it around like I'm doing, that gives you a bit of movement because you don't want it so stiff. So this is all good. I can just forget about it now. It's time to add on the pendant. So I've got my last few beads here, and you can see I've got a seed bead, a donut, a seed, a twist, a seed, and a donut. Now I'm not going to put another seed here. I'm actually going to pick up my little crimp bead, and that will act as the spacer. Then to pick up my pendant, to make a bail, I'm going to pick up 5 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Then I'll slide on the pendant, slide that down, and I will pick up 5 more seeds, and this is just going to make a nice simple little bail. Get in there. 4, 5. Okay, so I've got my 5 seeds. Right, now just to make sure, just give this a little slide down, make sure it's all there. Now I'm going to come back and make this into a loop and go through this crimp bead. Now the easiest way to do that is just to put it on your finger like that. Just stay flat on the mat, but if you put it on your finger, then you can just slide it straight through easily. And what you can also do then is slide through the next few little beads. There we go. That'll do me. Now that gives me something to hang on to. Don't just come through the crimp, because you can't, you've got nothing to slide. This gives you an area to slide. So what I'll do is I'll just slowly bring this up, but not all the way. Don't go crazy with it. Here you need to take your time, and see I'm working flat on the mat. So I'm just going to slightly hold this gently on this side of the crimp, pull it down so that the crimp, and I'm making sure that everything's where it's meant to be, and then I can easily put my finger here on these beads So that's not moving, and I'm making sure that this isn't moving, and nor is the crimp, but I can see the crimp here. You can see that. I've got my dominant hand now free, and I can just very gently pull this up, and I can just coax it myself. Here we go. Pull it up. Now I'm going to check because that moved, so I'll just push down again where that crimp was. That's it. Put my finger there so it doesn't move. See, I'm taking my time, and I've done this millions of times, but if you take your time, because once you've crimped it, you're gone. You can't go back. Okay, so I'm making sure. Now that's looking good. That's all looking good. This is all looking where it's meant to be. I can pick up my pliers now, and I can come in, and I can just give this a crimp. Now I'm just holding it. Come in here, give it a little squeeze, and then once I've given it a little squeeze, I can come in now and I can give it a good squeeze. There we go. Making sure that I'm just giving it a very good squeeze like I did before, checking that it's not going to move. Yep, that's all happy. This is sitting freely. And now I can come in here at the end. If you wanted to, you could thread through a few more beads. I'm not really fussed. I'm just going to come in with my cutters, hold it firmly, and bring the cutters in quite. See how I'm holding this tight? And then it's gone. And now I'm actually done. The nice thing is I've got my nice sliding lariat. I can wear it long or short, however I like. And I'm finished.